Hi, everyone. My name is Faith, and welcome to Guided Minds. For those of you guys who don't know me, I'm a licensed therapist in the state of Ohio, and today I'm going to be interviewing Zach Reality. I know him from covering all things Bachelor and Bachelorette. I know he covers a lot of other things as well. So I'm super excited today. We're going to be discussing all things life related, mental health related. So I hope you guys are able to tune in and enjoy. So, Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and just kind of what you do?
Hey Faith. Hi Faith's listeners. Thank you so much for having me. I am Zachary and I do entertainment hosting. I cover reality TV shows, whether it's on the red carpet, from my couch on TikTok. I'm always talking about reality TV and taking my followers with me around the world. So I'm a content creator, an influencer, and a podcast host.
I love that. Okay. So I want to say, so I've been kind of following you now for a little while now on TikTok, and I know you from obviously just me watching The Bachelor, Bachelorette. What kind of got you started in kind of recapping this kind of stuff? So I know you do more now. I know you recap a bunch of other shows, anything reality. And
Yeah.
that's what I know you from is just Zach Reality. Like, I don't even think I know your last name. But
Yeah, I
you,
mean, like I've been watching these shows forever. I love reality TV so much. I've been watching The Bachelor specifically since I was 10 or 11. So once I got out of college, I had a degree in broadcast journalism and I was trying to find a job, but it was COVID.
Mhm.
So that was also when TikTok started. So I basically was trying to build an online resume to find broadcasting jobs because I wanted to do entertainment hosting, and I tried to find my niche on TikTok and on social media by covering The Bachelor and some of my other favorite shows, because that's what they say. If you want to grow a following, you need to find your niche. So that's kind of how it all got started. I was trying to build a resume, and then it became my full-time job.
Okay. So you kind of went into it like, I'm just going to start on social media. I'm just going to see what happens and just kind of go from there.
I feel like I had no choice because of COVID and the pandemic. Like I was trying to find a job for 6 months. Like I was interviewing for real estate jobs, all different types of entertainment assistant jobs, and I worked in data entry. I drove Uber for a few months. I was trying to get a job at a travel agency. So I feel like the pandemic really set all that back and then made me realize that I can just work from home and talk about all the shows that I love, and that could be my job. So it really happened organically, and I feel like there was so many months in the pandemic for it to give me time to set up this following and build this platform where when the world got back to normal, then I was like ready to take on the industry.
Okay. So, in a way, I mean, I know COVID kind of limited things as far as getting a job, right? So you had to really kind of look outside of things and, go to social media, things like that. In a way, would you think it was kind of like a blessing in disguise a little bit that COVID happened so then everyone was even more on social media and then you were able to kind of take off?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, absolutely. I feel like it gave me the time. And I mean, TikTok also happened at the exact same time as COVID, which I think really helped the platform and creators on the platform. Because I've always loved social media, but it never really clicked for me like it did with TikTok. Like, I've been doing YouTube since I was like 15. So it really didn't click for me until TikTok was that app. But I also feel like there's so many things I missed because of COVID and so many opportunities I missed, and that kind of sucks, but we're all in the same boat, right? COVID happened to everyone. So that kind of gives me comfort because misery obviously loves pain.
We love that. Um, and so I guess for you, I know you've been doing this for a while now. This is kind of your main job now. And I love to see like all these different content creators I feel like have been coming out lately just sharing, how much it's impacted them, how much it's helped them, and just, post the video, do this, do that. You never know where it can kind of take off.
Hmm.
Was there ever any point for you where you felt like, I'm anxious. What if this doesn't take off? Or what if I have my moment now, but then, a year from now, this kind of dies down? I mean, was there ever any moments for you where you were anxious about that?
I mean, I feel like it happens all the time, especially during like holiday months. I think maybe slower months where there's less hype around a TV show. Like after a finale of The Bachelor or Dancing with the Stars, there's almost like this burnout where I get such good engagement leading up to the finale and then it could kind of crash. So I think it comes in waves. And I think like after doing this for so many years, you realize that like there's going to be really good months and really slow months.
Yeah.
So try and just like live in each month and be present and, use those slower months to travel more and connect with other people because there's so much you can get out of life that's outside of work.
Yeah.
So whenever it's hot, lean into it, work hard when the moment is there. And then when it's not hot, like enjoy that moment too. And I think that's the balance that I've had to find over the last few months and really figure that out for myself.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, do you sleep? Like, I feel like you're always kind of recapping all these different shows. I mean, you have to kind of, I mean, people rely on you now to kind of give these recaps. I mean, I know for
Hmm.
me, I'm gonna be absolutely honest. I love my shows, but there's times where I'm like, I don't have time to watch right now, so I'll go to your page and I'll get the quick little summary. So, I mean,
Hmm.
you feel this pressure to always have to be on all the time? I mean, how do you kind of
I
manage?
don't know if it's like pressure because I really love that people rely on me. Like that fulfills me knowing that people count on me and that I'm consistent. So I think that's a good thing. Like you do not have to watch the episode. I got you. You do not have
Mhm.
to listen to the podcast. I got you. I promise. So I really like being able to take care of people. So for me, that's like one of the best parts of the job. So of course there's stress of like, if I'm at a party, like, do I need to sneak into the bathroom or do I need to pull over if I need to make a video? But when you're committed to your job, no matter what field it is, you're going to do whatever it takes to, fulfill your duties.
Yeah, yeah. So you feel like you do a really good job kind of managing, obviously keeping up with everything, obviously because you enjoy it. But
Hmm.
then on another extent, like if I'm feeling burnt out, I know how to kind of, take my steps back a little bit. I mean, what do you do when you're feeling burnt out? Or you're feeling like, this is kind of a lot right now. What do you kind of do for your self care? What does that look like?
Definitely showers, definitely music, do not disturb. Love
Mhm.
that. Walks always help. Like, I love going for a walk every day, multiple times a day. And I'm a big
Mhm.
traveler. So sometimes I like to take spontaneous trips. And that's another way I can pivot my content because my followers do like coming along with me. And then there's a bunch of them in each city. So I can kind of lean into that. So I am a big traveler. I go on multiple trips a month. And I think that's a great way for me to decompress. And because I work on my phone, I'm able to work wherever I am. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how I live a balanced lifestyle and keep things fun and fresh.
Okay. So trips for you is kind of like your main thing, being outside. Are you from California? I know do you live in California?
I grew up in New York, went to
New
college in
York?
New Jersey, and then I've been in Los Angeles for almost 6 years.
Okay. Do you think you're gonna stay there long term? I mean, what do you think?
No, no. I want to move to New York City. I've never lived in the city. So
Okay.
I think that will probably happen in the next year or two. And I definitely think, like, as far as lifelong dream, it's going to be internationally worldwide.
Okay. I was gonna say I can see you totally being in New York. I was just there last weekend and like I love being in the city and you just seem like
Hmm.
you thrive in the city. So
Hmm.
no, I think that'd be awesome for you.
Have you
Um,
been to Chicago?
I have. I love Chicago. So when you told me you were in Chicago, I was like so jealous. I've been there before for St. Patty's. It's so fun.
Oh, it's my
This
first
is your first
time.
time?
Tell me what to expect.
Oh gosh. I mean, constantly there's people everywhere, but I love that. I'm a people watcher, so I enjoy just seeing everyone everywhere. I love all the different outfits. I feel like there's
Mm,
constant events going on throughout the entire weekend. My favorite is obviously when they die, obviously the river
river.
and everything like that. So you have to get your pictures. It always looks
Hmm.
so cool. No, Chicago, I always tell people if I could move anywhere, I live in Ohio right now. Obviously, I'm in Columbus.
Mm,
But if I could move anywhere to any other city, it would be Chicago. I just feel
right.
like a summer in Chicago is fun. It's a great city. It's very modern as well. So I kind of love that kind of feeling. And I just feel like it's a great place to live in your 20s and 30s. I mean, I feel like it's just so fun.
I'll have to give everyone a review like by the end of the weekend. But yeah, I just got here, so I'm really soaking it up. It kind of reminds me of New York. It feels so
Mhm.
clean
Yeah.
and just like safe, and it's great weather. It's not too
Yeah.
cold, and this is also my first time in the Midwest. I've
Wow.
never been anywhere in the Midwest. I'm more
That is
East Coast, West
wild.
Coast. I've been to Texas. So I'm kind of getting this off my bucket list and
Yeah.
hitting up Illinois.
Right.
There we go. Hmm.
Well, I'm glad if you went anywhere in the Midwest, I'm glad you went to Chicago.
Hmm.
I always tell people I'm in Ohio and everyone's like, what is there to do there? But trust me, in Columbus, there's things to do. If you ever come this way, I have like a full itinerary for people who have never been here. I have a whole list of just all things you can do. So
Mm.
hit me up if you ever come to Ohio, but Chicago's great. So no,
I'll
you'll
be there.
definitely enjoy.
I'll have to go to Ohio because I want to go to all 50 states, right?
Yes.
So, Ohio, I'll make it there eventually.
I
It's on
love
my list.
So one of the things that I wanted to really kind of tune in on is I know obviously being in this field, it's very cutthroat. There's so many things that can kind of happen. I recently saw that you were like dragged into some drama on social media.
Mm,
I've been keeping up with like The Bachelor, and I saw you were recently involved with drama with like Carolina, things like that. I mean, how
hmm.
do you manage like when you're kind of thrown in drama, or because you have to give recaps and you're getting information from people and things like that? How do you manage the drama if you get pulled into it?
I mean, usually I really do stay out of the drama and I do a really good job recapping it, staying non-biased, presenting both sides, giving my opinion. With Carolina, that was like more of an isolated incident, but we were able to bounce back and, get to a better place after a couple days. She's just been really on edge being the villain. And I almost was like being an apologizer for her all season to then realize that like, hey, like maybe she did make some mistakes and, she's not perfect. So that was just an isolated situation. But I think for me, like, I always stay out of the drama. I've never really get into it. And if I do get into it, I feel like it's most important to just like be honest and like speak for yourself,
Yeah,
right? Because otherwise people are going to speak for you. And I do feel a lot of pressure sometimes speaking for other people who have contracts on TV shows, right? They can't speak for themselves. So that's why I like to be fair and present the truth. So if I'm ever in it, I feel like I need to just speak the truth as well, because if I can speak for myself, then no one else can speak for me.
right, right. Where do you think that situation went wrong? Like, do you feel like, that was just one of those, coincidences where it was just truly just a misunderstanding? I mean, where do you feel like that kind of went wrong?
I think Carolina was just on edge because of how much was coming at her all season. So she was just like really sensitive. And I probably should have been like more aware of that, and not, been so quick to expose that she walked off stage. Because if you watch the Women Tell All, like she walked off stage, the cameras, I guess they followed her, but they didn't show it.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
didn't show any of that. So I probably shouldn't have just been a little bit more careful with my tweet. But other than that, like I really didn't feel like I did anything wrong. And I felt like once I was dragged into the situation, then I wanted to just like explain it for everybody and like show her side, show my side, and just kind of lean into it, because I'm a content creator who talks about drama. So if I'm in it,
this is
I
your
got to lean into
job.
it. Yeah, I got to lean into it. So yeah, that was a crazy situation. But I think ultimately, like, it got the fans talking. It's what they
Mhm.
wanted. It's why they follow me.
Yeah.
So I think it was ultimately like a good situation where I was able to learn a lot and grow from it, which ultimately is most important.
Yeah, trust me, I was sat, so I feel like everyone else was sat tuning in, trying to figure out what was going on. So, no, I mean, I think that comes along with the job. It's like, yes, you might be in drama, but also it's like, this is what the people want. I mean, this is what we want. We want to be intrigued by something. So, I know it was kind of a sticky situation for you, but also I was very tuned in.
Yeah.
So
And
it
that's
is
the
fun.
point, right? And there's always two sides to every argument. And that's why I think people love reality TV. And obviously, there's so much editing that goes into reality TV, but ultimately, I think producers want to create conversation. And my job as a creator is to also create that conversation. So I think the way to keep fans engaged is to create conversation with your videos in the comments. And I'm glad that it's been able to be so cool for me to do that through these reality shows that I love. And I think that's ultimately the recipe for success for anyone who wants to, be a creator or go on TikTok or recap anything.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in that pressure, I mean, did you ever feel, I guess, I don't know if pressure is the right word for it, but when you get dragged into things like this, do you feel like you have to publicly then go online and make, statements or things like that? Or do you feel like you're able to handle those things in private? Like as a content creator, do you feel like you have to let everybody know? Or, I mean, how do you kind of handle that?
Well, I think with that situation, Carolina like wasn't she didn't talk to me. Like I was trying to handle it offline. So I always actually try and handle things offline first, but I think sometimes once something's online, then it's like, well, now you have to tell everybody, and it's better to just nip it in the butt so that it doesn't become a mystery. I think followers will lose trust in their influencers and their creators when they cut things out or when they don't address certain things. I mean, there's so many podcasters who their fans have had the same questions for years. So
Right.
it's just like, I think to be a creator is to just like speak for yourself and nip things in the butt immediately and tackle
Mhm.
things head on.
Yeah. Yeah. You almost have to kind of be quick with it because it's like if you take too long of a gap, it's like people have something to say. If you speak too soon,
Uh-huh.
people have something to say. I mean, I feel like people are always going to have something to say, which is the hard part about it, but it's you figuring out how to kind of navigate that and doing it on your own time too. Uh,
Yeah, speak your truth so that you have control of your own narrative.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I mean, being in this field, I mean, I guess I want to know too, because I know there's a lot of things that come with it. So, obviously, your mental health and having that balance and, things like that. I know kind of transitioning a little bit. I mean, being in, the LGBTQ community, I mean, do you
Mm-hmm.
ever face challenges, with that? I mean, I guess, could you speak on that at all?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of comments that I still get. There's so many homophobic comments like all over the internet, especially if I'm posted with a different brand
Mhm.
and and then it's not on my page. So that that used to get to me, but I think that ultimately it feels like they're like bots too. So I
Mhm.
kind of just tune that out. I do think that luckily living in Los Angeles, like there is just so much acceptance, and I feel like being gay has become so normal that
Yeah.
I'm really lucky to live in this day and age versus when I was growing up and it was a lot more, taboo. I'm 27 now, so I feel like it's just been great to just like fully be myself and embrace that and like be celebrated for being myself. So I look forward to Pride Month every year.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So being there, you feel like that's an area where you feel accepted. You feel like you're going to get some of the, criticisms or comments or things like that from
Hmm.
other people, but ultimately where you are, you feel like it's a safe environment. You feel like, you know what, I'm going to live, the way that I want to live. And you've kind of combated it in that way.
Yeah, and I think people appreciate me for being gay. Like that's just my
Mhm.
identity. So it's so cool that if I can help anyone online by just being myself and being passionate about the things that I am, like if I can inspire anyone, then that's crazy and that's like so humbling.
Yeah, yeah. Was there any instance where you felt like with that you were kind of attacked? I mean, were there any instances where you felt like, even in the beginning, I mean, did you ever
Hmm.
feel like it was challenging for you? I mean, how did you overcome, those moments?
I mean, I feel like I've one of the consistent comments that I've had to overcome is like people coming for my voice and like saying it's annoying. But I think after like a while, like you just really get over that. Like as long as you're not questioning my character, like nothing anyone else says like should bother me. Like why would I care? Also, my comments are mostly nice anyway because if they're not, then I always clap back and then they never come back again.
Right, right. So you feel like you do a really good job at kind of combating that, and that hasn't necessarily been, at least lately, an issue for you. The older you get, you feel like you've navigated how to kind of
Hmm.
get through that.
I feel like I've always done a good job of monitoring my comments section and my comments. Like I really only reply to the nice ones and I make sure I'm in there and like involved in each conversation. And I think that lets people know the tone so that they won't go too far across the line.
Yeah, that's the hard part too. I mean, comments. I mean, everyone's gonna have something to say, and it's like you kind of have to pick and choose what you choose to kind of comment back at, or what you choose kind
Hmm.
of not to. Do I want to feed into this today, or do I want to kind of? I mean, how do you? I guess. I mean, with anything, how do you not let those things impact you? I mean, do you feel like you just accepted the fact that people are gonna have hate comments, and I'm just who I am, or how do you kind of navigate that?
I think it's also like micromanaging and like compartmentalizing. Like I'm gonna
Mhm.
go on TikTok for at this time, and once I turn it off and my phone's on do not disturb for an hour, then I'm gonna go for a walk and live in the moment. So I think it's just like knowing to only spend a certain amount of time each day on each app and like actually putting your phone down throughout intervals of the day. And that's how I deal with things, and that's kind of how I separate work from real life.
Yeah. So you do have that balance where you feel like
Hmm.
I'm able to do my work and I'm able to, 'cause I know, I mean, watching shows all the time, I mean, that can be, you could be watching a show at 9 p.m., you could be having to give a recap. I mean, so when that kind of happens, how do you feel like you balance when you have stuff at night that you're watching, stuff during the day? I mean, are you working ahead of time a lot of times? How are you kind of doing it?
I mean, it's kind of hard. One of the struggles is like being on the West Coast and having certain shows that you can't watch
Yeah.
until 3 hours after the East Coast. So sometimes I'll make sure to not look at social media. I don't want to get spoiled. And other times I'm like, I'm going to look at social media and find out everything that's going on. I usually will have more downtime in the afternoon, and that's kind of where I'll go for my walks and shower and like make food. And then
Mhm.
I kind of like working at night and like working at commercial breaks. Like that's when you're really in it. Everybody's home from a long day. That's when they're super active on TikTok. And that's when I can have the most engagement is during those live finales and during those fun weeknights where we're all watching the same show.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So because you're watching so many things, I mean, do you have time for like hanging out with friends and things like that? I mean, are you able to fully focus? Like if your friends are there watching stuff with you, like are you able to focus or do you have to be alone for those times that you can actually make sure you're
Uh-huh.
getting all the information? Like how do you do it?
I think a lot of my friends like love the same shows that I love. So I've been having bachelor viewing parties every Monday all season, which has been so fun. Luckily, I live in a one bedroom now, so I'm able to
Mhm.
just close the door and make a TikTok. And I think most of my friends understand that like this is a part of my life, and I've
Yeah.
been making TikToks for years, so they know if I'm going to step in the other room that it's fun and they support it. And I think that everybody loves TikTok anyway. So
Mhm.
sometimes I watch shows alone, sometimes with friends. And I mean, if I miss an episode, oh my God, I feel so behind.
I feel that. I was gonna say, I mean, what are you thinking about this season so far of Bachelor? I mean, are you into it? Because I know there's times too where I'm just like not really into a season, but you still might have to watch and recap for people because they're relying on you. I mean,
Hmm.
you still kind of invest, even though you're maybe not always interested in the shows, but you kind of have to just give that recap. How do you kind of manage that?
I mean, I think when you see success like in your job, you're more into it. So even if I don't like a season, but there's still people who want to watch me because they're not watching the show, so they're
Yeah.
just watching my recap. So I think that keeps me motivated. And if the formula is like works, don't if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I keep talking about the same shows that work for me, and I'll keep doing that for as long as it makes sense for me. And I think that keeps me motivated, and knowing that there's like a show to talk about each week, like I think it's so fun,
Mhm.
and it's a perfect way to engage viewers and keep loyal viewers because I consistently will show up for them each week and talk
Yeah.
about an episode. So for me, whatever shows that are on that I cover, I'm going to keep talking about them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Is how do you get these inside scoops? Like I know you'll cover shows, but then it's like you'll talk to certain people.
Mhm.
How are you getting like the inside scoops? Like do you already know like how the season ends or like how do
I
you get this information?
I mean, I think after a while of posting online for so many years, I think people know that I'm reliable, that I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. And a lot of these reality stars end up becoming, fans of mine or mutuals, become friends. So they'll just start reaching out to me and telling me things because
Mhm.
they're not allowed to talk sometimes because of their contract. But
Yeah.
if they become friends with me, then maybe I can kind of help shed light on a situation that was misleading for, viewers. And then that also gives me the inside scoop. So it's like I help you, you help me,
Mhm.
and it's always kind of anonymous, right? Like
Yeah.
we're never trying to spoil a show too badly, but I mean, I do think that there is a lot of situations on TV that the fans want to know what really went down, and if I'm able to bridge that gap between the reality star and the fan, then that's what I do, and that's kind
Mhm.
of what my content thrives off
Yeah. So you're kind of like the spokesperson. So if people aren't allowed to
of.
like say anything, they kind of
Mhm.
nibble in your ear a little bit so that way you're able to kind of share
Mhm.
information.
Exactly. And I think that's another part of what I do and what makes me special and unique on TikTok is that yeah, there's a lot of people trying to, post of reality TV content these days. It's becoming more popular of a job, but I think for me it's like I stay true to myself. I keep it authentic, original, and I think that's why I'm still going strong 5 years later.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's weird that you say that because lately I have been seeing more people kind of covering reality TV. So I guess you're not the only one, but I mean, I've been seeing more and more people do it. I mean, do you ever feel like, not that it's competition, but because there's so many other people doing that same thing, do you ever feel like I need to do something different to kind of stand out? I need to add more things to kind of what I'm doing. I mean, what do you kind of experience with that?
I mean, I think I'm like an OG. So I think I'm
You
original and
started
I'm,
it.
yeah, I think I'm really authentic and I have a loyal audience. So I think that will always be there. People want my take, but there's always going to be pressure about like getting the news out first because there are a lot of people who are just tuning in for the news. They don't necessarily care who's delivering it. So of
Yeah.
course, I really try and like pour my soul into the people who care about my opinion, but there's also that competitiveness of trying to get the news out first. And I do look to other creators for inspiration as far as, what trends they're doing or captions or different editing apps. And there are some creators that were able to help each other, and there are other creators that like I don't like to even watch their videos because I don't want it to like affect my opinion or my authenticity. So yeah, I think it's just like doing my thing my way that I've always done. I have my plan and my format on lock. So it's like I'm just gonna stay true to myself.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's awesome. I mean, I think yeah, there's always gonna be other people who are gonna be. I mean, the thing with TikTok is like you get ideas from other people. So I'm sure people have watched your content. They've that sparked ideas for them. And then yeah, I mean, I think like you said, your true kind of followers, know that you're the OG, so they'll kind of stick around. But yeah, I mean, I have been seeing a lot of that lately, and so I always feel like that is tough when people are doing kind of the same thing that you're doing. It's like okay, I kind of want to do something to kind of stand out or to stay relevant. I mean, how do you
Mhm.
stay relevant? How do you make sure that you're still doing that even 5 years later?
Yeah, I mean, always talking about what is relevant in pop culture and what's on TV. And I think just like doing fun things and being myself, like no one can be me. No one is, going to Chicago this weekend and gonna do what I do. So I think just like being original and staying true to yourself and constantly evolving your content, getting inspiration from other people, but growing as a person. And I think that's like the journey of, following someone online is seeing how they evolve each year, but also sticking to the format and doing the things that people followed you to begin with.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what would you say? I mean, the people, I know you said you're 27.
Hmm.
So for people in their 20s, 30s, young people who don't really know kind of what they want to do in life or where they want to turn, or maybe they went to school and now they don't really know kind of, what direction to go. And even just
Yeah.
social media, that can be scary to just start that up. I mean, even just starting social media is scary because not everyone takes off.
Hmm.
What tips and advice would you give to people to kind of, go about their careers and to manage that? Like, what would you say to people?
Yeah, if you're trying to find what you're good at, I mean, I think joining like agencies are the best, temp agencies. I mean, those are people who are going to help you find a job and they're going to give you jobs for 1 day or 2 days or 2 weeks at a time because it's a temp job. So that's what I would recommend to people. A lot of those jobs could be for anyone. You don't necessarily need an education or some type of background or qualification. And it could, put you out into different fields and let you test out what you want to do. And get off of the couch, get off of your bed, obviously go on job applications. I think that no one's going to make your dream life for you. You have to make it on your own. No one's going to feed you. You got to feed yourself. And I think just like get up and figure it out. Like it's time to grow up. I think that's what my advice would be, but of course it's easier said than done.
Yeah, yeah. Because I know so many people who have, tried to start things and, it just hasn't landed, or, you go through college and then you figure out this isn't even what I want to do. And so it's like, where do I go from here? And that's when, people can kind of, spiral and they don't really know, what, can kind of go on from here on out. So I think it can be scary, but like you said, it's one of those things you have to get up, you have to try, or else you're never going to know, what's out there. Um,
Hmm.
and the vision maybe you had for yourself in the beginning, it's okay for it to change. I think
Exactly.
that's the big thing too, is like, even though this is your vision right now, I mean, it's like you kind of have to be accepting of the fact that this can change at any moment. And I have to be, ready when that change does happen.
Exactly. And I feel like I don't want to do this forever, or at least in this capacity. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to live in the moment. And I'm excited to see what the future holds. Like, I really am passionate about travel and television as well. So I
Mhm.
think that there's so many cool opportunities, and I'm going to just enjoy each year as it comes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, no, it seems like you do a really good job with kind of balancing kind of your mental health with your job. You have a really good balance. I love to see that. I know it's not always easy, and day to day things can be different. We
Hmm.
all need our mental health days. So when you're having those hard moments, are there days where you just do not get on social media at all for the entire day and you just kind of will skip your recap? I mean, how do you handle if you're having a really bad, mental health day? Are you transparent about that, or do you just kind of withdraw from social media all day?
Oh my God. Like I said, like the mental health days are annoying. I'm all about like the shower or the walk. I feel like for me,
Mhm.
that's what calms me down is getting distracted or like putting on a podcast, cooking. Like whenever I have bad mental health anxiety, and I'll either call a friend, but if no one's answering the phone, it's just like, how do I get my mind active so that I'm not in my head? And staying off
Mhm.
social media is so important, and making those times and those days to go outside and travel and get fresh air is so important, and that's what keeps me balanced for
Yeah,
real. So
yeah.
I'm glad that your listeners got to hear all of my fun facts
Mhm.
today and my tips and my advice, because I know this is a mental health podcast and I don't always talk about mental health on my page. It is a lot of reality TV, so I'm
Yeah,
just glad that we were able to combine both of them today.
yeah, for sure. I mean, what are your thoughts on therapy? I mean, what do you think about therapy? I'm not sure if you've ever tried it before or anything like that, but like, what are your thoughts on it?
I love it. I think it's so important. I think it's amazing. I think it's necessary. I think it's expensive, and sometimes it feels hard to find the right therapist. And I think that's what makes people not want to go, is
Yeah.
because of the difficulties of finding one in the insurance plan. But I think it's so important if you can find someone that you trust to just confide in and let things out, because then you don't have to carry that burden to your friend or other close family members in your life, because you can let it out elsewhere. So I'm totally here for therapy, and I have gone before, and I would love to. I'm not going right now, but I would love to if I could find the right one, but I
I was
haven't been
gonna
able to find the
say,
right one.
what made someone maybe not the right person for you? Like, how did you know it wasn't a good fit?
I mean, I think just like if they seem more motivated by money and like
Mhm.
the plan and like the hours that work for them, I think that's what would make a therapist be turned off.
Hmm. Yeah. So for you, when you have done it in the past, you felt like, I could tell right away if this wasn't a vibe or not. I mean, I think
Hmm.
you can. It's like a relationship, right? It's like with even just friends, you can get a vibe check or not, right? If it's a good vibes or, not necessarily the best. So do you feel like for you, you were going into it just trying to feel a connection and you weren't really getting that?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to have a healthy relationship with your therapist. They have so much power and control over you when they know so much about you, that
Mhm.
like you need to make sure it's healthy and it's safe. It's
Yeah.
sacred. I mean, that's going to be a really big relationship in your life.
Yeah. So you feel like for you, if you're going for therapy, you feel like, because again, I tell people this all the time, you might have to go through like five, six different therapists to even find the right one. But do you feel like that can be discouraging to keep trying things out and not necessarily finding that person?
I do. I really do. And I think that almost provide needs more therapy because you're
Mhm.
like, what's wrong with me that I can't find the right therapist?
Yeah,
So I would love if there was a way to connect people with therapists easier.
yeah,
I feel like there probably is, but we got to find that too to help promote that. But absolutely, I think it could be discouraging, just like when you're trying to find a job and you can't find one and you're going six different interviews.
yeah.
But it's like you just got to keep going or pivot to something else that does work, and sometimes you need to know when to take a break of looking and just let it find you.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with that. I mean, I definitely think that there's, obviously, there's people that, you can just vibe with right away. And then I feel like
Hmm.
there's people where absolutely this just isn't it for me. But I do feel like you have to almost keep pushing because if you really, really want to find, that person and that connection, you're gonna have to kind of fight for it. And I feel like don't give up. 'Cause I think that's
Hmm.
so easy to do that. But like you said, know when it's time to take a break because, that can be exhausting. So know when it's time to take that break from, finding someone or things like that. But, I do hope more people can kind of see that the more you try, you can find that connection. Just like
Hmm.
friendships, the more put yourself out there and, you really, talk to people. I mean, you can find genuine friends.
I
Um,
know. And if you're gonna get burned like a lot in life, but like the more you get burned, then the more intelligent you are when choosing friends and knowing who to invest in. So I always think that life gets easier as you get older, as long as you continue to learn your life lessons, because we all learn them every year. So I just love getting older.
Yeah, you're the first one to say that. I'm trying to like as the years go on, I'm like I miss just being like 22 and like no cares. I know it's been
Right.
so difficult. I mean, I think like you said, there comes great things come from being older because you learn a lot and you have so many
Hmm.
life experiences. You can kind of share those experiences. But then part of you, it's like, I don't want to get older. I like not having, to worry about X, Y, and Z. So
Hmm.
it can be very difficult, but no, I love your take on therapy. I love your take on everything. I appreciate you being able to kind of share these kind of things today. I know it's not easy to always talk about mental health. Um, is there any one final tip you would give to anyone struggling with trying to, seek therapy, seek out, mental health resources? Is there any last minute tips you would kind of give anybody?
Oh my God, definitely do not be afraid to not say anything. Do not suffer in silence and don't waste your energy on the wrong people. If someone is not helping you or working in your life, you got to pivot and try and focus on people who are going to help you and that will, mutually benefit you or just make you feel better about yourself. So I think that is my biggest advice, is to really focus on like who you are surrounded by, because if you remove toxic people, I promise you, like new people will come into your life so organically. You need to make room for people. So I think it's just like always checking who's around you, who's in your circle, and putting yourself first. Like focus on what you need to do before even investing in other relationships. Like, what do you need to do to make sure that you are happy and you are healthy? And then worry about everything else after.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Okay. Well, people who are on my podcast know that I like to ask some fun questions at the end. It's not all serious here. We love to have fun too. So a couple of fun questions for you. Are you ready for those?
Let's do it.
Okay. So the first thing that I want to ask, since you're into reality, since you're into, talking to different people, who
Hmm.
would you say is maybe the most famous person that slid into your DMs?
Oh my God, Ryan Serhant.
Okay.
Do you know who that is? The real estate guy?
I don't.
Oh my God, he had a show on Netflix called Selling Manhattan.
Okay, I know Selling Sunset, right? That's
Yeah, exactly. Or it was like called Owning Manhattan, so it was different.
okay.
But he slid into my DMs and invited me to like a screening for his show. Like,
That
and
is so
they showed
cool.
episode 5. I guess it was the most dramatic episode out of the 8 episodes, so I didn't really know what was going on. But it was just so cool because I never got like personally invited by someone. Usually, it's like the brand or their management or agent.
Mhm.
So I just thought that was like a really cool moment.
Okay, okay. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and another question, I asked Brand Flakes this when he was on my podcast. I asked him this
Mm-hmm.
question too. But if you could like collab with anybody else of your choice, and kind of work with anyone else of your choice, who would you want to do and why?
I would love to do something with Andy Cohen. I love him so much. He's such a big inspiration to me. So I would love to do some type of connection with him where he can almost like pass down his throne to me.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I heard a rumor. Well, it was on TikTok. I heard that he has like a big announcement coming in a few months. I'm hoping
I
He's
don't
not
want him to
leaving
leave. Yeah,
Bravo.
I hope he's not leaving Bravo. No one can hold the fort down like him, especially right now. It's way too early for him to depart. So I hope
That's what
that's
I
not
was
true.
gonna say.
Yeah, I hope it's not true.
Andy, if you're listening out there,
We
please do
need
not leave
you.
Bravo.
We need you, Andy. We need you.
We need you. No, I love that. Well, no, I appreciate you, Zach. I appreciate you coming on here. It's been such a pleasure just talking to you, getting to know you. I've been wanting to meet you for so long, so I'm so happy that this was the time for us to do that. No, I appreciate you and thank you so, so much for coming on here.
Thank
Um,
you for having me. I appreciate you so much. And thank you all so much for listening. I really hope that you enjoyed and that you were entertained and that you laughed and, got inspired. So I'm really glad that you gave me this platform to speak on things and, shed some advice to help others.
of course. Well, no, I appreciate you. Enjoy being in Chicago. And if you ever come to
Woo.
Ohio, let me know. I
I
got you
will.
covered.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, guys.
See you later.
Bye.